back to this tutorial series. This is our lesson 8 of our tutorial series where we develop an inventory system. In the last lesson, which was lesson 7 part 2, we did CRUD operation, whereby we were able to create item, install it into the inventory system. We were able to update it, delete it, and edit it. So we perform all the 4 CRUD operation. Okay, but in that tutorial, anybody with access to our URL, our code, create or CRUD our application, so to say. Okay, but which means yes, because we didn't implement any authentication and authorization, which is usually found in applications. So in today's tutorial, we are going to integrate authentication into our application. So going forward, any user would need to first register to use the application. But we are going to implement both the credential sign-ups and social sign-ups, which means you can simply just use your social media account. But in this particular tutorial, I'm limiting the social login facility to Google only. So if you have a Gmail, you can either log in or sign up, yes, through your Gmail account, which is cool. If you choose to register with your credential email, which means you supply an email, you are equally good to go. So as a result of this, I designed a simple landing page for our application. Okay, so this is the landing page. Okay, you can see what the landing page looks like. And I equally have a tutorial on this channel where I designed this plan card, okay, or price card. So in this tutorial, I am not going to do anything regarding to this plan card, okay, and it's not actually connected in terms of implementing it for a user as of now. Okay, but if you are interested, I will leave a link in the tutorial where you can have access to watch this particular plan card video. Beautiful. So let me zoom it out again so that people can see. And if you have followed the tutorial from the beginning, this footer part of the application will not be strange to you. We implemented it, but we use it inside of the dashboard when a user has logged in. Although there was no authentication and authorization at that time, we just put it there. Okay, so it is the same footer that I'm implementing on the landing page. Okay, it will change later in the future as the application grows, but for now I just feel let me put this footer there. Okay, so that is about our landing page. Okay, now for the user to then access the application, the user needs to log in or register. Okay, so for instance, if a user has for this particular tutorial, I've already registered this account, so I just want to sign in or log in into the application. So we are logging in. It's already authenticated. Dashboard is boom. Okay, so now we are inside of our application. So the name of this account is TechSolid Lab. Okay, that's why you can see hello TechSolid Lab, and here from our avatar we are having a T. Okay, this is still going to be designed further to present a better UI, okay, in the future. But this is what we have currently. So you can then see that we can log out. So if a user, okay, if I decided, because now we are authenticated, so we are in the application. So if I decide to go, okay, back to login page, our middleware in the application will prevent an authenticated user to go back or to visit our authenticated page. I mean, auth route page, which simply means that if you are already logged in, you cannot go back to the home page where we started from. Neither can you go to sign up or login page. You are prevented from doing that. Okay, but if you are logged out, at the same time, you are not able to access the home page if you are logged out. So I will try to implement coming back here. So let's log out. See, we have logged out. So let me just paste that URL dashboard home. We are not going to be able to access it. It will make us to force us to log in. Now, in the first earlier on, I used my credential to log in. This time, let's use Google account to authenticate. And let me choose an account. Okay, boom. You can see that we are now equally in. So either way, it doesn't matter whether you use credentials or you use your social account, in this case, Google, to log in. You are still going to be able to access the application same way. And this time around, you should notice that this is bringing the, because that is first name and this is the name. Okay. And that is why our avatar is giving us D here. So we are fine. What other things have been added to this? In our lesson 7, we already did the CRUD operation. So in this particular tutorial, we are not going back to the CRUD, explaining how the CRUD operation works. Except for that, it is necessary for me to explain that now that we are now being authenticated as a user, okay, each of the items or the inventory system now belongs to it's now okay. Now that you are forced to authenticate before you can use the application. I have designed it in a multi-tenant facility. So we are implementing a multi-tenancy facility whereby a user or an organization or a company have their own data separated, okay, from other people or other users. So which simply means that if you have 20 users, the data of each of those will be particular to them, So a user A will not be able to access user B data, so to speak. So that is how it has been designed. Okay, so let's get into the code that is making our application work this way. The first thing I would like to show okay, let's go to the code. So um, let me start by saying that in this particular video, we are not going to look at the intricacies of how the authentication and authorization is made possible. Okay, there's going to be a dedicated and separate video for that. The reason being that, number one, some people are already familiar with authorization and authentication, so they don't need to be burdened with that in this tutorial. Number one reason. Number two is that people that are interested solely in authentication and authorization can have that video without being burdened with the rest of the application in this particular tutorial. So the tutorial link to that particular authorization and authentication video will be linked into the in the comment section of this video as well. Okay, no, so but I still need to show you some files, okay, that is making our application work in this particular tutorial. Okay, number one is we now have several folders that we didn't have before. Now I created an actions folder, and in this action folder we have 7 different files, and our reset password is used for the credential users, okay, to be able to reset their password in case they forget it, okay. And this register.js is used to register a credential user, while our logout is simply to log out, okay, from the application. Our login is simply to log in into the application if you are using your credentials, if you are not using the social login, okay. And our Google login is for Google login credentials, and our forgot password is to request a link to reset your password. So this is the one that we use first, okay. When you click on forget password, we communicate to this forget password file, okay. And once a link has been sent to your email and you are now using the mail, this file is called upon to reset your password to a new password. Okay, so that is it. But remember that I've not explained actually the code, okay. But these are actions, and I put them in a folder called actions because they are server actions. So each of these files are actually started with use server directive, okay, so that in our client part of the application, we can wrap in our server and make a communication. You see it, okay. Okay, so that is explaining on the server actions, okay. Perhaps I need to then go through each of these actions, right? On the change password, I will leave the change password for now because I've not tested it out properly. Okay, so I don't want to explain something that is broken. Okay, so but on the register, which is the number one thing before you can log in, you need to register, right? Okay, so this is what is happening here. We declare a use server, okay, directive, like I said, okay, and we will be importing hash from Next.js. Next.js is encryption package, okay, that we have installed, and I'm going to leave in the description all our codes. So I am going to leave in the description of this video so I am going to provide the npm command, okay, that you can use to install all of these necessary packages. So here we are making use of Bakery.js, okay, that is to encrypt our code. And here we are importing register schema, okay, from schemas. Schemas is created by us. Okay, I'm going to show that, but this is what we are importing in this particular file to make it work. We are equally importing a generate verification token from a folder, okay, which is a lib folder in our source directory. Okay, so then we export const register as an async function, right? As an async arrow function is taking in this data as a param. And we are then using our try catch block. If there is an error, we return the error. Okay, if there is no error, we are validating the data, okay, by calling on register schema. That register schema is here imported. I'm going to show you the file, and we are passing the data. You pass the data. It's a way of kind of processing it, and this our, and we are using Zod, okay, to simply validate the data. It's a way of validating the data. Okay, the Zod. I'm going to show you the Zod file and explaining each of the exported cost functions. So I'm going to show you the Zod file where we are importing this register schema from. So we pass in our data to ensure it is validated. So if it's not valid data, okay, as defined in our Zod, then we return invalid input data. Otherwise, if it is valid, we proceed, and we take in, these are the fields, okay, that are required in our registration form. We want to take the email, the name of the person, the company name, the phone number, the password, and the person must confirm the password just to ensure that what they intend putting into as password is actually what they input. It's hard to make a mistake twice, you see. So that is the usual flow of registration in applications such as this. So once all of these are there, we deconstruct, okay, we construct the input, okay, from validate data. And we go on to say, I actually forgot. Okay, so after the deconstruction of the input data, we then check whether our password is equal to confirmed password. If it's not, we return an error, a password mismatched. Otherwise, we continue with the application. Then we just change our email to lowercase. Okay, we change the email address to lowercase just to ensure that our email is stored in lowercase. Otherwise, even if you send an email to email that is not lowercase, the email is going to go anyway. It's going to work. This is just a kind of practice to ensure that we are getting what we want. Okay, so after that, we then construct this. We declare a user exists. This is simply to check whether the user is already existing in our database. Okay, user exists can be anything, and we await Prisma. We await Prisma dot user. User, okay, in our Prisma model is, let me let me show, let's go to Prisma schema. This is where the model is declared, okay, the user. So here we are now using Prisma to connect to that model, okay, in our Prisma file, and we are finding first. Okay. So finding first method is already present in our Prisma, okay, simply by declaring our schema the way we declared it, okay. So what would then happen is we find wherever in our database, okay, the email that the user is trying to use to register. We first check against our database whether it is already in existence. Okay, so if it's in existence, we return that user already exists. Okay, otherwise we continue to check. I mean, you know, it's a multi-tenant application, as I said earlier on. So we want to check whether the company that this person is using to register with already has or have an account registered to it. If there is a user connected to that company, okay, it simply will continue, okay, but your registration will then be the new user will be registered into the same company, okay, but the first user would be an admin of that organization, okay, or business. So we want to check if company exists. If it exists, I will continue with that. We don't have a problem. If the company does not exist yet, we ensure, okay, that the company is the register. So we take company, we await Prisma company dot create, then we send in our data in a way that Prisma is expecting it to be. Okay, and here is just a way to create a domain name, okay, for this company on Stockify.com. Stockify.com is not registered though. It's just for the tests for tutorial sake. So let's assume we have Stockify.com. We just use the name, okay, and we create a subdomain, okay, for that account. In the case where the user is registering through a social login, where we don't have the facility or the room to ask for the company name, what we simply do is auto generate a number and use that to create a unique number, of course, and use that to create a subdomain here. Okay, so the company data is then created. Once the company data is created, then we hash the password that is supplied by the user. That is the reason why we imported our hash from Bigrit, okay, from Bigrit.js. So you simply hash the password, okay, and we throw in 10 here. 10 is just the short length, the short length, to make it even more encrypted. Okay, so once we have already hashed our password, then we want to create the user. Now we are creating the user. Okay, and the user, we are throwing in the data that we need for the user, the email, the password, which is hash, the name, the phone number. Okay, then the company ID. Where do we get the company ID? We are getting the company ID, okay, from the company that we register here. And if it was not registered, if it was existing, the company ID will still be available, okay, to us, to our use. Okay, so we then set the company ID to the ID of the company that's being used to register this particular account. Okay, the role, okay, is an admin. this will be an admin if the user is the first time or is the first person to register with that company. Otherwise, it will be a user. Okay. So, and then what is happening here is then we are then declaring token and token expiration. Okay, and we are getting that from generate verification token. Our generate verification token will be explained later. Okay, but just take it for now. It's a function. Okay, and we are taking we are disconstructing our token and token expiration, okay, from that. And we use that to generate a verification link. And we are taking process env app-based URL, which is in our environment variable file, which you see going to have access to look at. And we are adding auth. This is a path now. Okay, this is a route. Okay, to where verification can be done. Okay, so our auth / verified email, then we put this question mark for the query, then we take the token, then we assign the token to it. The token that is being assigned is the token that is coming here. It's already generated from our generate verification token function. Okay, and this is coming from this is customly made. You are going to see it. Okay, so then we take once everything is done, we update our user where the ID, okay, is the ID of this user, and we then take the data, right? Verification token, we put in the token against verification token, and verification token expiration, we assign our token expiration time to it. And by the way, this user, okay, it is the same user. We are updating. Note that we are updating the user here. We are not creating it. The user has already been created. View in this step. Okay, here. This is where it's created. But we are now using the ID of that exact user to simply to set a verification facility, such that when you then go to your email and click on this link, you are able to be authenticated truly that this data is coming from your email. Okay, once that is done, that is, it is set into the database against the user. Okay, we await, then we send email. Okay, this send email function is customly made, and you are going to equally see it, right? So then we put in all the parameters that is being expected by our send mail for it to send our email. And we are sending our email through. Okay, sending the email, okay, to the person, to the email of the person who just registered. Fine. So we take it, we return success once the email has been sent. If there is an error, we return the error. Okay, so this is all that it is to our register file, okay, or register action. Okay, after registration, then we said that okay, once you have registered and you have verified your email, you are now able to log in. What we use in verifying the email, the API route that is called, I will show it later. Okay, but I just simply want to base on the actions on our server actions first. So let's say this person has already verified their account. Now the person can log in. Now the person can log in. On the login, it is very similar to what we saw in the registration. We are importing the necessary imports. This time around, we are importing signing from our auth. All of these I'm going to show you, I'm going to explain. Okay, I'm going to explain where these ones are coming from when we get to that part. Okay. Okay, so let's look at our login. By now you are used to how we construct or declare our functions. So then we will be validating the data using login schema. We are passing the data into it, or pass it to validate it, and for emphasis sake, and we are using Zod for this. It will show the folder, the file, like I said earlier. So what we are simply doing here is taking deconstructing the data or the value that is sent from the front end. Okay, and we are simply checking if the user exists at all. If the user exists, we are finding the user by unique, because now we are looking at the email. Okay, I'm not using find first here because our email is said to be unique in the Prisma model. Okay, so we are finding that. Okay, so we check whether the user exists. If it exists, or sorry, we find whether the user does not exist, or the user may be existing but the password is not correct. That is, it's not what is in the database. And we then check or whether the email does not even exist. Or if any of these is truthful, okay, it means that the user is not in our database. The user is not found, or user not found. Okay, that's what we return. Otherwise, okay, we go to our try catch block. We catch any error that may be there. Catch any error that may be there. And if there is no error, we simply sign in. We sign in, and we are signing in here through our credentials. Okay, when we get to the auth part of the authentication part of the lesson, you are going to understand how this is working. This is going to be the link to this, to the auth and authorization and authentication video is in the description below. Okay, so check it out to watch that. So here we are simply implementing that. We're taking our sign in, we're passing this okay value, because it's expecting two arguments, right? Credentials and an object where we have all of this. Okay, so that is our all about our I commented redirect to out here because, and say redirect is false, because now we are handling our redirect from our middleware file. Okay, and we are going to see that when we get to the middleware part of the lesson. Okay, then again on the logout, we are simply importing our sign out from Next.js, okay, which you are going to see in the authorization and authentication video. Okay, and here this is just an icon that we are importing from React icon, okay, a file, and that is being used here on our logout button. So this is our button. So this button is now imported in our, so this button is now used in our, or this component I should say, is now being used in our navigation components. Let's go there. Let's go there. We have components. We have nav bar, and now we are importing this logout from our server actions, and we are using it. If I can just try to find it. So this is where we are then using our logout button. Okay. And remember, we have always had this navigation bar, right? We have always had that. Okay. And again, this is the part, okay, in which we then pick the name of the authenticated user, the person who logs in. We are taking the session and we are checking against the user and the name. Okay, this user is the user from the Prisma model that you saw earlier, and name is one of the fields, okay, of that. So, and it doesn't matter if the user is credential user or social login user. We're still going to have user.name, okay, in the available to us once the person is authenticated. Okay, and by the way, I'm not intending to do much here. I will be explaining this part later on another files. Okay, so that's the login, and forget password is similar to what we have seen. We are importing password, forget password schema from schemas, and our send email from our email helper. We are importing generic verification token from our from our library folder. Okay, and we are exporting const forgot password as an async function. Okay, so we then throw in our try catch block. We validate data like we have always done. See, we return success. Is false if data is not validated. Okay, if it's not validated to be successful, we throw in success false, a message is invalid input data. Otherwise, this should be removed now. Okay, otherwise we structure our email from the validated data, and we use it accordingly. We find unique where email is that particular email in the database. If it's not found, then the user is not found. The user is not found. Okay. Otherwise, if the user is found, this is now where we generate a token. We generate a new token, and we generate a token expiration period, just like we saw in the registration process. So here we take in the base part of our application, which is stored in the .env file as against app-based URL variable. Okay, then we take that function, generate verification token. This is what is generating the token anyway. Token generates the token, we generate the expiration time. Then we construct our reset link, and this is our, then we make it use our reset password. Okay, this is our Auth API. We are going to see our Auth APIs. Okay, remember that I've not even opened any of those, and construct uh, we construct the query params of our token, then we pass in the token. Okay, and the rest part of this is what we have seen. We are simply updating against the ID of that particular user. We set the values as we have them here. Okay, in the user model, let me quickly show you the reset token and reset token expiration. This is a new addition to what we had in the last lesson. Okay, let's go for, we are looking for Prisma folder, Prisma schema. Let me close this. So this is our user. This is our user model, right? So here we added company ID and company name. And by the way, the updated Prisma is going to be provided. The link to it is in the description of the video. Okay, just go there and grab it. So this is our reset token and reset token expiration time. So it's a daytime for expiration. For reset token expiration time, okay, it's a daytime. The data type, okay, and reset token is a string. Okay, and this question mark is simply meaning saying that they are optional. Remember when we created our user, there was no reset token and reset token expiration for this particular user. Otherwise, we have verification token and verification token expiration, which was used or being used in the registration part of the server action. So we have this. I simply thought I should just show you. And the other time I was speaking about email being unique, that's why we could query it using find unique, because we declared it as to be unique here. So we could use find unique method to find it, simply because find unique will make it even query to be quicker, faster. Okay, so if everything is well, then we prepare our email. We just prepare the email data, right, as an object, and this is where we send it. Await, we send. Otherwise, we could equally put the whole of this object. Okay, I could copy and just put the object here. Okay, but just for simplicity and more, for it to be more understandable, this is the style I usually use, especially when I need to construct a huge body. Okay, I first construct the data or the email data, and we just put it into this send email function. And like I said, the send email function will be explained later. Okay, if everything is well, we're rolling. Okay, that's about that. I'm trying as much as possible not to make the tutorial to be so long. Okay, as a learner, you can always pause the video to see. Okay, and that's all. On reset password, we are following the same pattern. We simply following the same pattern. We are finding the user. So here I simply decide to keep quiet. I'm just making you see the code, because now it is what we have explained and explained in the previous files. Okay, maybe here we are resetting the token to null and the token expiration time to null. We are nullifying them. Why? Because remember, this is a reset password. Once you are done resetting your password, there's no need for us to keep those again. They have been used. It's a one-time use. Okay, so we nullify those there. This is where we accept new password. that is being sent by the user. And we call on our reset password schema. All of these schemas are in a single file. Okay, our sort file that I'm going to show, that I'm going to explain. Okay, so this is cool. So with all of this, we are done. Like I said, the change password, I've not tested it enough, so I don't want to go through a code. This code, okay, then I'm coming here. Otherwise, it's just something similar to everything where we have done here, really. It's just similar. I just need to test it well. Okay, and the last one here is the Google login file. Yes, this part of it, you will get to understand it when you watch the authorization video. Okay, here just note that we are using it. Okay, right. Okay, so I'm closing on the actions. I'm closing as well on the component here. Okay, and now let me close the Prisma too. Okay, now okay, now it is time for us to go into our data. Now we've been using this earlier on in the previous lesson. That's not, we don't need, nothing changed there actually. Okay, now it's time for us to go into this Auth. Okay, on our Auth, remember we have about 3 different folders that are named as Auth in this application. In the root folder of the application, we have this Auth folder, right? Our Auth folder, we have 3 different files in our Auth folder. Okay, we have our Auth config.js. This file is being used, okay, with our next auth or OAuth authorization, okay, which you are going to see much of it in the authorization video, right? Okay, maybe before we even come here, let's go to our sword. Let's go to the sword and explain the way our sword is kept here, right? Wait, no, it's not. Utils is not in under utils. Hidden lib, yeah, it's in library, okay? Where did I put it? Okay, let me check. Login schema from schemas. Oh yes, this is where it is. From our schemas, right? We have index.js file, and this is where all our validation is taking place. What we simply do is we are importing everything Z from Zod. We use asterisk to import everything importable, okay, from Zod. And Zod is an npm package that we have already installed. Okay, how that was installed was npm install Zod. Simple as that. But all the command, the command for installing all the necessary packages, okay, for this video is down in the description below, description of the video below, okay? So what we are working on here, you see, we are exporting our constant variable, okay, which then becomes a function, right? So we are saying we are constructing our register schema, which equals to Z, which is there Z is coming from sort, right? Dot object. In the object, then we put in the actual object. All of this, how to do this, how to handle this is in the documentation of sort. Okay, the description to sort documentation is in the description of the video below as well. Okay, so we are just saying company name. These are then the field. We declare all the fields that we want to validate. Okay, we want to validate against. So we say company name. Okay, we declare the company name as a variable. Then we take Z from Zod. Then we say what type of data should our company name be? Obviously, it's a string. Okay, and we want to say the company name should be at least 6 minimum characters, right? So, and we say minimum dot 6. Then, if there is a violation of our declaration here, whether it's not a string or it's not, the minimum input is less than 6, we return the message, enter your business or company name. Okay, and we go into the next field, phone number. We take in our Zod into place. We check it, ensure that it's a string and it has a minimum character of 6. Then we put in the appropriate message if any of this is violated. Message, please enter your phone number. Okay. Then we take the email. Zod has a way of validating an email. We simply say is a string. Email is a string, obviously. Then after being a string, let's check is it a valid email. If it is not, the message is please enter a valid email address. We do the same thing for name. Name at least minimum of 1. Name cannot be minimum of 1 anyway. One name any person should not be. Let's just go for these 3. In the practical sense, it's not even practical to have just 3. Kim Young. Anyway, so please enter your name. Then on the password, it must be a string. We want to make it to be at least 6 characters to be a bit strong. This is not a strong password anyway, but just for tutorial sake. So password must be at least 6 character long. Then we want to check against password confirmation, right? We check, is it a string? Is it minimum than this? I mean, is it a minimum of 6? If it's a minimum of 6, sorry, if it's not a minimum of 6, then there must be a password mismatch because this was 6, right? Otherwise, we can validate this one even better. Okay, the rest part of the validation will be taken care of. So that is all about our register schema. Okay, on login schema, I am not going to explain the rest of this. Why? Because it's the same. You're simply doing the same. You don't want to waste time. We are only choosing fields as necessary. Okay, forgot password schema. When a user is requesting that he has forgot his password, we want to accept the email, okay, of that person. From that email of the person, right, we first validate whether it's a correct email in terms of it's a valid email. Then once the email is valid, we then run through our database. Then we generate the necessary string and reset token. Then we send the person an email. Okay, but we just need to validate the email first. That's why that is there for. And reset password schema. We want to check the token and we want to check the new password, whether they are as valid as we want them. Is it a string? Yes. Is this a string? Yes. Is it minimum of 6 characters? Yes. That's all. So the rest of the schema, just like that. See, change password schema. As we continue in the application development, we may need to we will actually need to add more, okay, to construct more functions in our Zod index file here for validation. So when a user is now being registered and you see this register schema in our actions register, right? This one, see, this is now we are importing from the schema folder from the root of the project, and this is where we use it, and you pass it. So says Zod. Okay, so the same principle applies for all of the other validations. Like for instance, in the login schema, right? Our login schema, you see, we pass it here. Pass it here. That's it. So on our server actions and on our schema, I have explained. The next line of action is to check out our context. Okay, let's check our session context or session provider. So in our context, before I actually explain this, okay, no, it should be explained first. Look at this file. We are creating a session provider JS file, okay, that is right there inside of our context folder in the root of the application. I name it context because that's the usual practice, because it's actually, we are actually finding the context, okay, of the application in terms of knowing the session, whether a user has logged in or they have logged out. Okay, so we put it in a context, which of course by now you should know that it doesn't necessarily have to be there. You can name this folder anything. You can even put our session provider inside of the root. Okay, like we have this and this, have other files. Okay, but just to put things in context, we are putting it in the context folder. So the name of the file is session provider, just to tell us, okay, or to have an impression that this file is all about session provisioning. Okay, and that is exactly what it is actually. So it's a use client. I mean, is a client side. So we are using a use client directive. You know, in Next.js, if you don't use this use client directive, automatically Next.js will take it as it will take it as a server file, which runs from the server side, not from the client side. So we say it, we declare it as a use client. We had use client directive. Okay, now we are importing our create context. We need to create our context, right? And our use context, we are importing this from React. These are just native to React. Okay, because we simply want to use our use context from React in handling our session. So we simply want to use our use context, okay, from React in managing our state. Okay, we want to use it to managing the session state of the application, since we are not using a third-party state management, okay, like a Substan, for instance. Okay, so after our import, we are declaring a variable and we name it session context, okay, which we are now declaring as create context, which we imported here. Okay, and when we application first starts, the session context is null. There is no session, so it's null. After that, we then declare another use session. And by the way, this use session can be anything. You can say, if your name is John, you can say use John. You can say use banana. You can say use anything. But we are putting it in context so that we understand what it is used for. That's why we say use session. Okay, so we declare our, and we are exporting the function. We are exporting the function, you see, and we return the use context. That use context is is imported here from React, and we wrap in our session context. Which session context? The session context that is here, which is null. But by the time a user is authenticated, it's no longer going to be null. So the session value is going to be then passed into our use context. Okay, and because we are returning the use context, okay, we automatically have the values of the session in this use session. So we continue. Then we want to provide or make session to be provisioned. So we are exporting default function of session provider. Session provider here is a variable name or a function name that we declared ourselves. It can be session mango, session anything. But to put things in context of what they really are, because it's a session provisioning, we are provisioning the session. That's why it is a good practice to name it session provider. And this session provider will accept two parameters. Okay, one param is the children, and one is the session. You are going to see how we use that, okay, in our base application. I'm going to show it shortly. Let's be done with this. Okay, so after that, what do? We just simply return session context. See, the session context that is coming here, this session context that is coming here, dot provider. If you can name anything in whatever name, you cannot name this provider anything. It must be provider. Our create context, okay, from React is expecting, okay, this one, provider. So use session context dot provider. Then we set in the values. So which means our session context provider, okay, is expecting this parameter, and which is a value, and we then throw in the session. The session will be whatever session, okay, that is coming here. I mean, that is coming from here. So our session provider will be will have these two params, like I said, the children and the session. And the value that is in here, okay, would now be made available throughout our application. And that is being wrapped inside of the children. These children here are all of our components from A to Z inside of our application. And now our session provider, okay, that is now a function that can be used in our main application to wrap our application. Okay, that is found in the app. Okay, and in the app we have our layouts. So inside of these layouts, we then want to import session provider that we just saw in the context, right? This one, session provider. Okay, now we are importing it's now imported here. Once it is imported, okay, we okay, then we then wrap all our application. Our application was not like this. It was not like this. It was something like this. It was like this actually, not something like this. Okay, but now that we are authenticating the application, right? We are authenticating and authorizing the application, right? So our session provider is now going to be used here to wrap all our application. And by the way, this use session, okay, you can put it above here and put it above, I mean below here. It's still going to work, but I just find it more cleaner to make it like this. Find it more cleaner to make it like this. So by simply by doing this, remember all components that are associated with our application, whether it is 1 or 2,000 or 2 million, okay, I'm just being exaggerating anyway, will be represented in these children. And since they are represented in these children, and these children, okay, is inside of our, or wrapped inside of our session provider, we are passing this session as a value into it, we are going to always have our session accessible by any of those components, okay, in the application. So that's about the layout. So this is one that changed in our layout file as against what it was in the previous lessons. Okay, the second one rather is our session here. You see, we are importing auth, okay, from auth folder. This one I can just show you, otherwise it's going to be explained in the it is explained in the auth tutorial. Okay, let's show you here. This is the auth. That auth this is the auth that we are importing. It's coming from here. Okay, so we are now exporting or importing our auth, okay, from that auth file that you saw, and this is now used, okay, it's now being used as a function. You see, so that auth is exported there. It's a function. Then we construct our session. We say session equals await. Since this is an async function, we can await, because it's a server action. We need to, something is happening in the server, so we need to await it until it's resolved. In case it's taking time, then we store it against the session. And by the way, this session, it can be YZ, and you throw in session equals XYZ here. Otherwise, keeping it in context, always remember that session equals session. So with these two change made to our layout file, we have and will always have this context of the session. What is happening within the application in terms of authorization is always available to all the children of the application, and those are the other components, okay, that this whole application is made of. Okay, so that's that. After explaining this, because I've now explained the session provisioning and all that, then I can go back to our registered and explain there must be something I wanted to explain. Oh, Lester forgot. Let's work on let's check our generate verification. Let's check. So this is coming from our library, okay, our that is handling our token generation. Okay, let's go to the lib, and in the lib we are working on the token. See, so here comes our verification token generator. We are using UUID version 4. It was explained earlier in the previous lessons, one of the previous lessons. It's just an npm package that we have installed, and we have equally installed our datefns as well. It's another third-party application as well. So good. So here we declared a function named generate verification token, okay, as a constant function. We then generate UUID4. We save a token into this token. You see, it's a unique, generate a unique token there, or string. Then we are taking token expiration, right? Now we are generating token expiration. Okay, and we are using our hard hours that we imported here from datefns. Okay, and we are adding a new date, and we are adding this 24. Okay, that 24 is a declaration that it should last for 24 hours. It's in hours. If you put 1, it's our token will expire in 1 hour. So this token expires in 24 hours. Okay, how we know to do that is in the documentation of a datefns. All right, so fine. Once we get our token, we get our token expiration time, then we return the token and the expiration. We are returning them so that we can have access to it once we call on generate verification token anywhere in the application. As long as it is imported in that file, we will be able to generate a token and an expiration time. At the same time, we are using the same folder or file rather to generate a reset token. So whenever a call to this generate reset function is made in our application, we are generating a token, making use of UUID, okay, and version 4, and we are generating a token expiration by making use of add hours, which is a function that takes in a new date argument. And you can see here we are using 1 to make it expires in 1 hour. Why? Because what we are the token, the reset token here should just be something that you use without taking so long time for security reasons in your application. Okay, sometimes it may even be less than 1 hour. It depends on how sensitive this is actually. Okay, so that is on our token generation. Okay, this is very small and simple, and there is a part in the application where we needed to generate a unique company number, and this is what I use, okay, to generate a unique company number. There are various ways in which numbers can be generated in my various applications I've used. Sometimes I just go and take the code and reuse it, but this time I decided to write something new. Okay, so this is being used to generate a new a unique number, and that unique number, okay, is then used is then used in our application. When I get to where we use a unique company number, actually we use it when we are creating a credential, when somebody is registering in the application without credential sign up, when they are using Google sign up. Okay. Remember, in that case, we don't have the access to collect the company name. That's why in that case we simply use this. I explained it in the domain, in the perhaps I should just go there. Where is the registration? So this generic verification token is then expecting two values to be passed in. I mean, that is, so generate verification token will generate token and generate token expiration. Perhaps we don't need to emphasize. Okay. So after this, the next line of this we already did sometimes. Okay, now the next thing is to explain this tenant Prisma.js file. Our tenant Prisma.js file, okay, is making use of our Prisma, is making use of our, we are importing Prisma from Prisma. By the way, this is our Prisma, right? So we are importing it from our schema. So we import Prisma from Prisma that we saw there. Then we import get token. It's too late. Should. So this tenant Prisma JS file is what we use in handling multi-tenancy functionality of our application, which we declare this function tenant, okay, to take these two params. So whenever we use our tenant, we are expecting the model name and the request body. Okay, so we then take the token. We declare a token and we await get token. Okay, this get token is what we have imported here. It's coming from JWT, Next.js. When you install, when you check through the authorization video, you are going to once you install our next auth at beta, all of these are added. Okay, so we are importing get token, okay, from Next.js, right, which is a JSON web token, which is another very powerful package for authorization. Okay, authentication and authorization in applications. So we then await our get token, which is expecting an object. We take in the rec and we pass in a secret. The secret that is passed into it, is coming from our env variable. That secret can equally be coded here, but you never want to do that. That's not how to build application. Okay, so how this is being made secure is the secret is used in generating and encrypting that particular string, okay, which is the token. Whenever the token needs to be decoded, if this secret that was used originally to encrypt it is not the one trying to decrypt it, it's not going to be able to gain access to it. So that is what is happening behind the scene. All we are using here, we are just using the function from that JWT. So it makes our life easier. We are then checking if not token.company ID, there is, then we throw this error, missing company ID. So when a user logs in, okay, when a user logs in into the system, from the JWT token, okay, that is generated, all the values, okay, of that user is encrypted into that JSON token. I'm going to show you that later. So all the values is saved into the token that is generated, and company ID is part of that. This company ID is coming from the user model from our database. This is simply trying to check. Then we are trying to take the company ID. Okay, we're taking the company ID. We are getting, okay, the company ID from the token. Once that is gotten from the token, then we assign it to company ID. Then we take a model client. We declare model client. We are taking Prisma model, and we are then checking if that model, okay, exists in our Prisma. If the model, okay, the value of the model, okay, if the model exists in our Prisma, okay, then we want to make it to be model client. If it is not a model client, because we have assigned it here, throw the error. Otherwise, okay, we return this. The model client is finding where company ID, and is throwing in the other argument that would, like we have it here, and is checking through where, or if it is empty. And we use the same thing for find unique. So just simply take this as our multi-tenancy code or function. That is what is simply achieving for us is it is used, okay, to check whether the user that is accessing the application belongs to a particular company, so that that company profile, that company data can only be accessible to such a person. And in the case of registration, if the user that is trying to register, okay, is giving us a new company that is not in existence in the application, we could simply create that user, and that company is created. Otherwise, this is all that it is in our in our tenant Prisma file.